So I'm busy opening a restaurant in Kigali at the moment, and I'm taking you along for the ride. Some days we're doing videos at the restaurant showing the painting, the decorating and everything involved there, and other days we're doing admin because there's a lot of it. If you choose to open a business in Rwanda, there's a lot of administration that goes with this. So today I'm talking about mobile money. Sorry if you hear a bit of background noise. I'm in a bit of a noisy neighbourhood. It's fine, it's just things happening in the background. So if you don't know about this, in most of Africa, I think most of Africa, I definitely know in East Africa, and I've seen my friend in Cameroon using this, a lot of places have some form of mobile money. So what mobile money is it's using your phone as a wallet. So you can transfer money onto your phone, either from somebody else's phone or from your bank account, or you could even transfer money using something like Remitly from a country outside Africa onto your mobile phone. So for example, my friends can send me mobile money, or I can transfer from my bank account in the UK onto my phone. And once I've got the money on my phone, I can then use it to pay other people or to pay businesses. So if I go shopping at my local supermarket will have a momo code, a business code, and it's usually a short set of numbers, and you type into your phone. It's kind of complicated. You need to type in this long code like star 182 star 8 star 1, then the code that the business has, followed by another star, followed by the amount of money you want to pay them, followed by a hash and send. And then it will confirm the mobile money account that you're sending the money to. You agree that, you put in your PIN number, and it's paid. And providing that you haven't put a single number wrong in the momo code, and that you've checked the name on the account, it will go to the correct business. It is so easy, especially after a night out when you've had a few drinks, to put the wrong momo code in and just accidentally send money to somebody that you didn't intend to. Very hard to get it back if you do. So you know, it's not without its faults. But for the time being, in most of Africa, that is a very, very popular solution. It's very useful, especially in the rural areas where people don't have bank accounts, because you've got a bank account in your pocket and you can just make payments and receive payments. So it's definitely useful. And a lot of people in Rwanda will go for a night out or will go shopping, and they will pay to a mobile money account. Now, in order to receive money as a business, you need to get that business momo code. So, never had to do this before, decided to give it a try. And I'm just going to talk you through what happened. All right, let's go get this done. So this is the MTN centre in Yarasharama, which is like the main place that you come if you need anything done. Okay guys, so MTN code is definitely not happening today. I just walked in there and there is a wall of people just sitting there. Nobody comes up to you to ask what you need to do. So you have no idea where you're supposed to sit. You're supposed, like, there's no separation of like business or personal side of it. It's really confusing, and just like nobody kind of acknowledges when a customer walks in. So I was literally standing there for about 3 or 4 minutes, just like, where do I go? What am I supposed to do? And it was the security guard, not a member of MTN staff, it was the security guard who eventually came up to me and said, yeah, this is the queue. Basically, you need to start by the door, and then you work your way into the sort of middle of the building. And I'm just thinking, I'm not doing that today. I'm definitely not doing that today. I'm just going to have to come back here at different times of day, on different days of the week, until the queue is manageable. But it's stuff like that, you just look at it and you go, hell no. I mean, why can't I do this online? You know what I mean? Why do you have to always physically come to an office or a building that is absolutely crammed full of people? Like you just take one look at it and you're like, no, 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 no. So I decided to try again on the 17th of April, so 3 days later. No, I have so much to do today. It's an ongoing process. Is every time you go there, there's a queue out the door, and if there's a queue out the door, I'm not staying, I'm going. But I do need to get this done at some point. So I reckon that if I just keep going back there every few days, that one day, maybe on a rainy day like today, not as many people are going to be in there and I can actually get what I need to do done. And I got there and I was sitting in the queue and nobody was really moving, but I saw a few people going up to this other desk at the other end, and I was like, well, you know, I said to the guy next to me, how do you know which of these desks you're supposed to go to? Because when you walk in there, there isn't a single sign above any of them telling you, you know, hey, this is for personal SIM cards, hey, this is for business. And it is kind of entertaining because this building is huge. It's like a big building with MTN on the front, but the actual MTN office, it's more like a closet at the back. Like you got to walk around looking for it, and when you get there, it's like this small room with like some desks and one row of chairs. It's a bit like when we went to open a bank account with BPR. It's like there's only a handful of chairs and way more people needing to sit down than there are chairs. And it's just kind of weird because it's MTN, right? They have the entire building. Why don't they just have departments like, hey, you need a business code, go to this office, or, you know, hey, you want a personal SIM card, go to this office. Why not do that? But instead, everybody is very, very traditional. Everybody sits down on this long line. If there isn't a seat for you to sit down on, you have to stand there and wait until somebody moves up. So the traditional way of queuing in Rwanda is everybody sits on these seats, and when a desk becomes empty, the person at the front goes up, and then every single person just does this. It's literally, you just get up and you go along one line. And if there's more than one row of chairs, you get to the end, you go forward and you go back the other way and then forward and back. It is, oh my goodness, it's interesting. I mean, you know, you can't help thinking, how about we get a ticket machine? How about we have a ticket machine? But then, of course, the ticket machine tends not to work if the power goes out. Yeah, it's all a bit complicated. It's really difficult as well because, you know, at one point I was sitting next to a woman with a baby, and every time they moved, she had to move with the baby. And you're just like, oh, wow. Okay, there's got to be a better way of doing this. But at the moment, there isn't. So, you know, so everybody moves up and the chair at the very end becomes free and you go and sit down, and then you join the queue and you all move up a chair until it's your turn, and then you go to the desk. It can take a while. But anyway, back to the main story. I was asking this guy, how do you know which one you go to? And he was like, well, you know, you don't. And he said, what are you trying to do? And I said, get a momo code. And he said, try that desk at the far end. So I got up and I went down there, and this lady looks up and she says, what do you want? And I said, well, business momo. And she looked at me and she said, do you have everything that is required? And those are her exact words. She said, everything that is required. And I kind of, you know, I sort of looked at her and I said, well, you kind of need to tell me what is required, because I'm not psychic. You know, I didn't say that part out loud, but there is kind of this thing with customer service that you are expected to know. And it's like, nobody will tell you. Like, there's no helpful welcome pack of, hi, MTN business user, this is how to get a momo code. You know, there's no preemptive information. So, you know, I didn't say I'm not psychic, but I did say, can you tell me what's required? And she said, well, do you have your RDB certificate? And I said, yes, because I have this folder. It's got everything, passport, RDB certificate, banking information. I've got everything in there. She said, okay, right, so have you got your letter? And I said, what letter? And she said, you need to write an official letter to say that you need a momo code. And this doesn't surprise me, because you need a letter for everything here, everything. Nothing is ever done by email. You know, everything requires a formal official letter. And this was also required for RDB when I was, you know, trying to update my passport information there. I literally had to sit at the desk and write a letter. And most places you go, most places will let you do that. They will let you take a piece of paper and a pen and in front of them write a letter saying, dear so-and-so, can I have a momo code? Thank you very much. You know, this is my business TIN number, signed, dated, and you're okay. And I said, oh, well, no, I haven't, because I didn't know I needed one. So I said, can I just write one? And she says, well, have you got your stamp with you? And I was like, oh no, no, here we go. So if you don't know this, because why would you? When you do business in Rwanda, you need a rubber stamp for your business. So, I mean, if you've watched YouTubers in Japan, it's kind of that same concept. Is you need a little, well, in Japan it's a little rubber stamp. Here it's a big bujunk kind of stamp. Let me show you. So this is my self-inking stamp, and you need one of these. And it will stamp your business information. So you need a logo, and you need your TIN number, and you need your phone number, and they will make you a stamp. That cost me 30,000 francs. People say you can get it for 15. You used to be able to get them for 15. I'm not sure where you can get them that cheaply nowadays, but they're between about 30, 35, at least if you're a foreigner. And I didn't have one because I haven't opened a business in about 10 years. I thought we might have moved on from this. We haven't. You still need to get a business stamp. Yeah, so you need to know this. So I'll leave a link to somebody who can do it below. I don't know if they're the best. I don't know if they're the worst. They're just somebody who can do it, or where I got mine. And of course, you know, I mean, just from a kind of a foreigner's perspective here, you're like, why do I need a stamp? So essentially, I'm paying 30,000 francs for the privilege of writing to MTN to ask yet again for a momo number. You know, you're kind of thinking as a foreigner, you're thinking, why do I need a stamp? Because arguably, it is easier to forge a stamp than it is to forge a signature. Because, I mean, if you're going to forge somebody's signature, right, you've got to study that. I mean, you've really got to put in the work. Not that I'm suggesting that anybody tries that or anybody commits forgery, but I'm just saying that if you are going to do that, it's a lot harder to forge a signature than it is to forge a stamp. Because when I got this, they didn't ask for any ID, they didn't ask to see the RDB certificate, they didn't ask for anything that proves that I own this business. Like, you could message them and just say, hey, can you make this into a stamp? And they'll go, yeah. And even if they don't, you could order one online, couldn't you? You know, nobody's gonna check. And then all you have to do is stamp, 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 and it looks very official. You know, so, I mean, arguably, it doesn't provide any level of additional security at all. There's no additional protection that having a business stamp gives you that a signature doesn't. If if that's your only sort of form of protection against fraud, all it means is that I've got to pay 30,000 francs for a stamp that I probably only need to use once, you know. So I was a bit annoyed about that, a little bit annoyed about that, because I had sat there for quite a while to find out this information. So I left MTN yet again. And you know, the next day I ordered my stamp, and then the day after that I got it. So, you know, I went there to MTN on the 14th of April. By now we're on the 21st of April. So I've already wasted a ton of time trying to get this done. And I thought that I would message MTN to ask them, you know, just in an absolute Hail Mary, I wondered if they had an online system for doing this. Firstly, I wanted to know, do you have an online system for this? Can I just apply for what I need online? Like, you know, I hate to say it, but MTN is the country's biggest communications network. And I was kind of assuming that as such, they would have a faster way of communicating, but they don't. There is absolutely no way at all to do this online. But I also asked them to tell me everything that I need in order to get this Momo code, because I didn't want to waste any more time going there, waiting in queues, you know, like just watching my day tick past in order to get to the counter, in order to be told I'd forgotten something that I didn't know that I needed. So I was like, hi MTN, can I do it online? Can you tell me exactly what I need to get this done? They answered the first question, but they had real trouble answering that second one. As you can see from the conversation, it was a bit of an uphill slog, you know, and again, this is a communications company that cannot communicate. You know, really straightforward information, a kind of a common question I think a lot of people have: what do I need in order to get this done? So I went back on the 23rd and I sat for about 40 minutes in the queue, and I was determined to get it done. I was not going to leave until I had an MTN Momo number.
My motorbike boy. My motorbike boy. Yeah.
Alright guys, I have got sandwiches, I have got water, I've got my audiobook lined up, I've got my headphones ready. Today we're gonna go get some stuff done. Today is sitting in the queue at MTN day until I get a Momo code. Oh my goodness me, this is my fourth attempt. Like every time I turn up there are more people standing than there are seats. You know, the only minor hindrance, the only thing that might get in my way today is, you know, I ate something last night and it didn't really agree with me. So, slightly dicky tummy this morning, but I think I can hold out. Pop some Imodium. We're going to go and sit there until we get seen. And then once I've done that, I'm going to go and sit in the FDA office over the road and try and submit my application for a restaurant license, which you're supposed to be able to do online, but their website's been down for over 2 weeks because nobody renewed the HTTPS certificate, so you can't actually access their online system. And yes, okay, so we're going to go and attempt to get this done. Wish me luck. Okay, it does look like there's a really strong chance of rain today, which is a good day to be sitting inside, going nowhere, doing nothing. Okay guys, fourth attempt, MTN Centre. I just saw the craziest shit on the way here. Honestly, it was one of those moments where I was kicking myself that my dash cam wasn't on. I usually film a lot of my rides, and you should do that in Rwanda anyway, because like the accident rate is really high and people just do the craziest driving sometimes. The kind of stuff that if you didn't film it, you wouldn't believe it. So if you have access to like a camera, then when you're driving, always have it, because if you get into an accident, you need to be able to prove what happened. And oh my god, so I was just coming down to the turn off to RDB, so MTN Centre's along the road that RDB is, and I was just turning and our lights said green and we all turned, and I got distracted because there's a speed camera there and it went flash, 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 like it flashed about 5 or 6 times. And I don't know where it was pointing because there wasn't really much going past. But as we turned, a full-on bus just came straight across in front of us and just stopped in the middle of the junction. I don't think he was jumping the light there. I think the light probably went green for them and green for us at the same time and just kind of like channeled us into his path. And I wonder if those flashes were flashing the people in front of me who were going when it was green. So the light was green, they had every right to go, but then the traffic just came straight across in front of them. And I think it might have been flashing them. So there's people getting a ticket for going when it's green, but I think both lights might have been green, because why else would that bus pull straight out and cross sort of in front of everybody and stop in the middle of the junction? It was like he looked as surprised as we were. Like we were all sitting there going, oh my god, a bus, and the bus driver's like, oh my god, traffic, and we're like, what's going on? So yeah, I don't know, but always film your rides. If you've got access to a camera, always film your rides because the craziest stuff happens on the roads and you need to be able to prove it if there's an accident. Anyway, fourth time lucky, let's go try MTN Centre again. Honestly, it's this absolute sinking sensation that you get whenever you're here. And it's bad because there used to be a bourbon coffee shop upstairs, and it was really okay because, you know, you could go and sit in a queue for a couple of hours and then you could go and get an ice cream or a coffee. But it looks like Bourbon's moved out. It doesn't look like there's anything else up there other than this giant momo sign, which is advertising something I really want but don't seem to be able to get. Right, let's go and sit. Just seen this shop called Ruby, and they've got these lights. They look like planets. They're spinning and they're all lit up. I'm not allowed to go in this shop because I think I want to buy everything. Oh, how cool is that? They change colour. Whilst I was sitting there, I noticed that somebody had inspected their fire extinguishers, which was kind of cool because I didn't think there was any way you could do that in Kigali. So it took 40 minutes, I think, roundabout. And I got called up, and I have to say it was a really, really long wait. But by the time I actually did get up to see somebody, they were really, really friendly. There was a very nice lady who saw me first. And she checked that I had everything with me that I needed. You know, I brought everything. You know, I brought my passport, brought my RDB certificate, bank details, everything. I took everything because I'm well prepared nowadays. I even took a passport photo, which I didn't even need because that's how prepared I was. And the one thing I wasn't prepared for is getting up there after waiting for 40 minutes. And she looked at me and she said, so do you have a KYC form? And I said, no. What's the KYC form? And she said, you need a KYC form in order to open a Momo business account. And I was like, great, can you give me the form? And she said, well, you have to go and get one. She said, you need to go outside, around the corner, to your left, and you will see somewhere that can print one out for you. And in my head, I thought she meant like an Irembo station, because usually Irembo is kind of like an online government gateway. You know, there are shops that allow you to pay for services and get forms. I thought that's what I was looking for, and I went off trying to find this booth. Okay guys, so progress. I got seen in 12 minutes. There were loads of people sitting there, but this time the security lady was organising people and telling them when to go up to the desk, which made it a bit quicker. And I got seen by this lady. I've got everything I need, except for one thing, because there is always one thing. So I needed my passport, I needed an official stamped letter saying I need a Momo code, and I needed a copy of my RDB registration form, the full RDB certificate. And now that I've got all of that, I have to come around the other side of the building to the Bank of Kigali. There should be an Irembo, so a government gateway payment desk here, and I need a KYC form. And apparently I need to go and get that from Irembo, and then I need to go back there and we're going to fill it out together and everything will be done. I don't know why the form that you need for MTN isn't in the MTN centre. I don't know why you have to go somewhere else, but if we're going to Irembo, it probably means we need to pay for something, because Irembo is the government online gateway, and every time you go to it, you're paying for something. So I imagine there might be a fee for this. We're going to go and find out. Okay, so there's another MTN booth, and when I asked in there, they told me to go upstairs, but I don't think it is upstairs because that's closed and that isn't MTN. So I'm looking for an Irembo payment point, but I can't see one anywhere. I don't know where the hell I'm going. Directions were as clear as mud. I guess I'll go back down and ask again. Maybe it's around here. This is really silly. So apparently we're looking for a little shop that sells phones, so I guess it's that guy up there. How the hell is this a process? Okay, yeah, so it's definitely not that guy. He says it's down here somewhere. Honestly, this is so ridiculous. Honestly, this is just the stupidest system. Why don't they have the form at the desk where you're applying for things? Like, I can't find this guy anywhere. The security guard doesn't know. Nobody knows where you go. Okay guys, so absolutely is that little phone booth at the top there. I've paid 600 francs to print this out, but when I was talking to the guy, he was saying, oh, so you need a new SIM card for your business? And I'm sitting there thinking, no, because my business number is the current SIM card that I've got. I've used my number for my business. So I hope they're not about to try and sell me another SIM card to change the number for my business, because I don't want to do that. It should all be linked to my number. So I'm really confused about what's going on. Nobody explains anything. It's like, just, I need to go and fill out this form. So we're over an hour and a half into this process now. So I go back to the MTN closet, I sit down, and of course I've got to wait in the queue again to go back up to the desk to hand in my filled out form. It was a little bit quicker than before. And she checked the form and she said, yep, you've got everything. Now go and see my colleague. So I shifted over a desk, and her colleague had a little look through everything, and he started the process of photocopying my passport, photocopying my RDB certificate, and setting up my Momo code. I have to say, when I actually got to the desk, it wasn't their fault that the system is totally inefficient. I found that the staff there, the lady I spoke to and the gentleman I spoke to, I believe it was Rose and Neza, they were excellent. They were really friendly, really helpful. And, you know, I felt like they understood the situation. It's like, yeah, sorry, you know. But they were really good. And, you know, I was going to say, something you don't tend to get is, often with customer service, if you're standing there for a really long time, often you're just staring at the desk, like you're just staring at the desk for like 10, 20 minutes longer. And Nasa was really good because he kind of noticed that I had zoned out, and he just started some small talk. And we had a really interesting conversation, and it just helped the time to go by. You know, I was just kind of standing there. Otherwise, I would just have been in an RDB situation where I'm just staring at like dust on the desk. And he saved me from that, and we had a really nice chat, and it made the time go quicker. So I have to say, when I eventually got to talk to the staff, they were pretty good. They were good. Yeah, they were friendly, and it was nice. And also, hats off, shout out to Neza. He got me the sweetest Momo code you've ever seen in your life. He went out of his way to get me a real nice Momo code. So if you ever want to send some money, this is it. Even I can remember this. Even I can kind of remember this one. Because usually the Momo codes, they can be, you know, like several numbers long. So I'm a bit worried that people will see this one and not believe it. I feel like they're going to go, yeah, but what's the rest of the code? It's like, no, that's our code. So that was a really good experience. And that is where it should have ended. Yeah? Yeah, that's where it should have ended. It didn't. Oh, actually, just before I tell you the next bit of this, if you are going to MTN Mobile Money to get a code, I have copied the KYC form and it is downloadable below. This might not work in a few months from now. They might change the form or change the system, but if you need to go and get a Momo code in the next couple of weeks, save yourself some time. Download it from the video information below, print it out, fill it out at home, you'll save yourself some time. So, it continues. because it always continues. There's no end to this. It just goes on. Yeah, so then they asked, oh, you know that you can see your Momo transactions online. Like, you can log in and you can see any Momo transactions. So even if you're out of the country, you can log in and see any business Momo transactions that have taken place. And they said, do you want access to that? And I said, of course I want access to this. This sounds fantastic. How do I get it? And so they said, well, what you got to do is write a letter. So I was like, oh, okay. And I left and I went home and I wrote a letter. I will leave, if you want to do this, I will leave the templates for the letters I use below. Just fill in your business details, print it all out, take it with a KYC form, save yourself some time, because these letters worked for me. So if you don't know what you're supposed to write or how to do it, just use my template below. And take everything together in one go, so you don't have to do the back and forth that I've been doing. So yeah, I went home, I wrote out another letter, literally just saying, can I have online access to my information? Stamped it. I went back on the 27th. Yeah, I gave myself 4 days because I was dealing with some other stuff, and I just, it was too much. I was a bit fed up of the process by this point, but I went back 4 days later with my little letter and I walked in. Oh, they've got this cute little smoothie place just inside the MTN centre. Popped in for an ice cream smoothie. So I've just been back to the MTN centre to try to deliver the letter that allows me to use Momo or view my Momo transactions online. It was impossible, the queue was out the door. So I got a smoothie instead and I'm going back there. Oh, that's good. That's a peanut and mango smoothie or something, very, very good. So yeah, now I'm going back to the restaurant. I'm going to take one of these lovely motos here. So, I mean, again, the queue was out the door. I just physically and mentally, I did not have it in me. I couldn't. Like, I was like, blah, 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 blah. By that point, you could have booked me into the asylum. Actually, it wasn't just that. I had a decorator back at the restaurant who was calling me saying, hey, are you available to come and look at something? Because business people are busy people. We don't have time to spend unknown quantities of minutes and hours sitting in a queue in the hope of getting something done. Sometimes we have to be in other places. So I just couldn't stay that day, so I left. And the next day I packed some sandwiches and I'm like, right, I'm gonna get this done. All right, so I'm back at MTN again. The queues are out the door again. It's like, doesn't get better. So I'm just going to sit here until I can submit my letter to get an online access to my Momo records. And I finally got that. I waited for, I think it was about 40 minutes. And then I got seen I made it up sort of the queuing system and I got seen. And the one thing I forgot to take, which you need to take everywhere, is my laptop. And the reason that I don't take my laptop is I have a gaming laptop. And let's just say, it costs a little bit more than average. And I cannot replace it in the country because they do not import this type of laptop into Rwanda. Don't know where I could find it. It would not be something I could replace if lost. It's got my entire life on there. So forgive me. I'm not about to wander around Kigali on and off motos, in and out of offices, carrying that around with me. But RDB wanted me to take it. MTN wanted me to take it. I don't know what you do. I don't know what you do other than buy a really cheap laptop that you are willing to lose, whilst you're going about your business. I think it's a bizarre thing to ask people to continuously take their laptop to places. Sensibly, departments would have their own accounts that they can log into, see customer details and get whatever it is signed up for and completed without somebody needing to bring their personal laptop with them. Just a suggestion. It's not very efficient to keep asking people to turn up with laptops, especially after I've been sitting there for 40 minutes. Nobody ever told me I needed to take a laptop, but as it turned out, it was perfectly possible to get this done on my phone. And I logged in, I set up my access on my phone, and when I got home, I could then just do it on my laptop as well. Pretty straightforward. But my big question is, why is this a separate service? You know what I mean? If you're signing up for a Momo account, of course you're going to want online access to the records. Of course you're going to, have to have a KYC form. Why would you ever make somebody leave that desk once they've got there, once they've waited that long to get to the front of the queue and to talk to the staff? Why on earth do you not have the form there for somebody to use? Or why not even have it as you walk into the building in a big thing saying, are you here to open a Momo business account? Yeah? Then fill out this form whilst you're waiting. And then when you get up there, it's ready. And then why wouldn't you include online access as standard? Why isn't that just standard? Why don't you automatically get it when you get your Momo code? Make it an opt-out system rather than an opt-in one. Don't send people off to fuck about doing 5 other things to get this done. You know what I mean? Like point A, point B. Get them there as fast as possible. Just get it done. What is it with this? Go away and write another letter. Go away and get a business stamp, Go away and sit in the queue 3 more times. Go away and find an office in Narnia that doesn't exist. Why are we doing this? Why are we doing this? Just streamline it. Walk in, give them the pack with the form in it, fill it out, get to the front desk, get your Momo code, get your online access, go, never come back again. Because that's better all round. The faster you deal with somebody's problem, and the more thoroughly and accurately you deal with it, the less times they're going to come back, the fewer people you've got queuing out the door in your office. I mean, I just don't understand it. This is a communications company. Why aren't they communicating? I'm sorry, I know. I'm being dramatic, I'm going overboard, I always do. But you know what I'm saying? Think it through. Just think it through. Think it through. Systems thinking, A to B, but try not to go via X, Z, M, J, Y and back again. Just try and do a straight little line like this, in, sorted, out, done. That's the kind of systems that we're aiming for. And you know what? The gold standard is getting it done at home, online, without ever having to physically go to an MTN office in the first place. 21st century stuff, Sorry. Oh, yeah, I'm being facetious. I am being a little bit facetious, and I am not going to apologise for it, because I spent 4-5 days of my life going back and forth to MTN. Who got time for that? Who got time for that? Ain't nobody got time for that. So anyway, see you in the next one. And if you are heading off to MTN to get your Momo account open, don't forget to check the video description for helpful hints and tips. And good luck to you. Good luck to you.